Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Pulp Blotter on 22 Panels. Mark Pracht has returned because for some reason he keeps doing cool stuff with me, which is awesome because now we have two book clubs a month. Anybody who hasn't listened to the first Fourth World, go back. Mark, and Sean and I talk some Jack Kirby. Um,
Talk some Jimmy Olsen,
Jimmy Olsen, that's right. That's right.
some Whizwagon.
And this week we're going to talk Blacksad from see, I should have written down more stuff.
It's
I was in,
Juan Diaz Canales and
yes,
uh, Juanjo Garnido, Guarnido.
yeah, probably Juanjo,
Juanjo, yeah, that's
Guarnido.
true.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
and my
Uh,
edition, my edition has an introduction by Jim Steranko.
the one I read did too. Um, it's I'm gonna let you describe it because I
Um,
it's one of those that I love so much that I have trouble finding the right words.
uh, it's I was describing this just last night to somebody because I was talking about that I was recording this morning. And if I believe I'm correct about this, I hope I am because uh, um, uh, Wanjo, um, I believe, worked for Disney as an artist for a
I
while.
believe some, yeah, that
But
sounds right.
the way I described it was that it is a pitch black 1950s noir story, detective story, uh, with anthropomorphized animals that remind me of nothing more than Disney's Robin Hood. So it's sort of like, what
Yeah,
if Walt Disney had made, like, instead of doing Robin Hood, they had done uh, Maltese Falcon or something in the same style.
I
It would be
was
sort
I
of
was
like,
just about to say it's like Dashiell Hammett done by Disney.
hmm. And the main character is the detective, of course, is John Blacksad, who is a panther.
Hmm.
And or well, I think of him as a panther, but he may just be a cat. Um, but uh, it's it was funny as I was rereading it. Um, I was actually thinking a lot about when we talked about Rocketeer, and I do think that in a lot of ways these books are as much an exercise in artistic style as Rocketeer was.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
the narratives are pretty standard detective
Particularly
nonsense.
hard boiled.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's basic,
They're very very Dashiell Hammett, Raymond
yeah.
Chandler.
I you know
Um,
I don't consider cliche to be a bad word.
nope,
So
particularly not in genre.
yeah, and it is. They're fairly cliche narrative wise. Of course, they are uh I believe they were originally published in Spanish.
Either
Um
Spanish or French.
uh
I mean, I know they're from Spain, but the European comics work weird.
yeah. But I mean, it is European and there's
Yeah, it looks
English
like
trans
it was uh
the
published
English
first by Dark Odd.
right. English translations by Anthea Flores, Patricia Rivera, Diana
And Diana
Schultz, Schutz,
Yeah,
Katie LaBarbera,
she was
and Neil Adams.
I know. Diana Schutz was was longtime editor at Dark Horse and
Mm-hmm.
was like the editor for Sin City, among other things.
Mm-hmm. I just looked at this credit and
Yeah. No, I
Neil
caught the
Adams.
Neil Adams. I like I want to talk to Diana Schutz about this now just to figure out how Neil Adams got the credit. Because I wonder if it was um I mean, because there's so much, and I need to do a translation episode. I've been wanting to do a translation
Right.
episode for a while where I talk to translators. Because, like translating poetry, translating comics is nowhere near just doing a straight translation. You
Sure.
have to get the feel, you have to fit the word balloons, or be careful to at least fit word balloons that aren't going to get in the way of the art. You have to pay attention to, do I need to translate signs? Do I,
Well, I
um,
mean, and it's just like when you translate a play, Chekhov, like there is a pure translation oftentimes comes off very clunky.
yeah,
You want to put some sort of artistic, a good translator is going to put an artistic bent on keep the spirit of it, but also like make it into a pleasing English sentence or paragraph or
right.
whatever it is. It is fascinating. Neil Adams, that's it's just really bizarre to me. Um, but
But yeah, at least according to Wikipedia, they start in French. The Spanish edition usually follows about a month later.
oh, French fries, French toast. Anyway, um, no, but it is the artwork is so expressive. Um, and I'm always struck, like he is a tremendous artist because I'm always struck at how uh the body language is so very human, and yet the likenesses really are very accurate to the animals they're supposed to be, to
Right.
where you're like uh Weekly, which is a little
Fox.
newspaper. No, he's a ferret.
Barrett. That's right. That's right. Sorry.
Uh and as somebody who friends of mine in high school had pet ferrets, which were nasty little creatures. And sorry if you own a ferret, but those
My
were
my friend
nasty.
Peter did. He loved his ferrets.
I was fine until they bit me. Anyway,
Yeah, that's kind of where I am with a lot of animals.
but I just it is spectacular, and this is one of going to be those things where I'm just going to be like, this is just amazing, blah 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 blah. Um, but and it's in the great tradition of your hard-boiled fiction. All of the women are incredibly gorgeous. And the men are all either um, incredibly uh, character. That's probably not a great word to put it, but the just there's
They're
always there's
they're
like a
they're
personality
either
in the way they look,
right, right.
or they are just the most masculine thing you've ever seen in your
Right,
life.
right. It's like you've got your Bogarts, but then you've got your Peter Lorre's and your Sidney Greenstreets in
Yes,
appropriate places. And
right.
I love, and I think he nailed it. And I can't believe I mean, I should believe when talking about comics, Steranko is completely reliable. It's just talking about anything else.
We don't need to talk about that.
No, no.
Jim is Jim,
Right, but I was about to say I
and
can't believe I'm quoting Jim Steranko here, but then I went, nah, I'm quoting him on comics, so okay. Um, I think he nailed it when he said that like the animals were picked on the characteristics of the
100%,
character.
100%.
It wasn't applying human characteristics to animals. It was taking a human and essentially finding its spirit animal.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's absolutely truth to that, but I think also it goes both ways. I mean, I'm sure, like I'm gonna guess that John Blacksad as an image, they may have been like, maybe we do a detective with anthropomorphized animals, and I think I have to believe that that character was drawn, and then they were like, okay, I've got it. this is who he is. Um, and then that expands out from there. Um, it's just like it. The other thing that I love is, like I said, the artwork, the characters feel so very Disney to me. They really do. And they feel animated. Like
Mhm.
uh, you know, um, when you see anything about animation, there's the transitional frames where characters will distend completely out of any realistic position to create the dynamic of the movement, right? And I feel like there are panels where it does that. There's in Arctic World, there's a scene where the police chief punches the guy who is sleeping with his wife. Um, that's another thing we should probably say. If I know I described it as a detective version of the Disney Robin Hood movie, but it is a very adult book.
It's an R-rated
Yes. Uh,
Disney. I
yes.
mean,
Yes.
which I mean,
I mean, and I'm not like
this is kind of along the lines of I heard once that there was a script that was proposed and even some initial um drawings done where they tried to sell J.D. Salinger on a Disney version of Catcher in the Rye, where Holden Caulfield was like a German Shepherd. And like there are just certain things that can't be G-rated.
It's
I,
true.
I feel like hard-boiled crime novels, you can't do G-rated. You can do The Great Mouse Detective. Sherlock Holmes can be G-rated. It doesn't need to be G-rated, but it can be. Dashiell Hammett.
Well, well, I mean, I think that, we've seen Hammett adaptations in film during the depths of the Hays Code. So that
That's true.
you can do it, and you can do it with style. And I think that there was a lot more power to inference back then.
Yeah.
And I think that not so much anymore. Now we sort of feel the need to see everything, and I don't know if that's good or bad, but sometimes it's tiresome for me. Um, but it it is there is this wonderful dichotomy of these like kind of cartoonyish characters and these horrific or super sexualized situations that they're in. I think it's fascinating. And I don't know. I just think I love the way that feels as I'm reading it. That God, I forgot about the rooster guy. Um, just amazing. Uh, yeah, I mean, and I think that I don't know. You say something. I'm running out of words right now
Um,
because now
I
I'm
mean,
flipping through the book and I'm like, wow, wow, man.
this is, I think, one of the great advantages of genre fiction is that by giving you a trope, by giving you a cliche,
Mhm.
it allows you to then focus on making the best characters and the best sets and the best scenes rather than the best plot. The plot
Well,
is just kind of there, and people all have an idea of where it's going and whatnot, and it becomes way more about how do you tell the story than what is the story.
well,
um
there's two different ways you can go with that. You can subvert things or deconstruct them, and that's fine. You can go right down the line. But the what and I this is what you're saying, it's like it allows you to stylistically go further because the story is so familiar that like the I think that part of the reason that this works so well with the anthropomorphized characters and doesn't feel silly is because the storyline A takes itself very seriously.
Hmm.
But it also is such a familiar genre and such a familiar story. I mean, like every one of these stories that's in this book. Um, and I suppose we should say there is a new storyline that's coming out that
It is actually done.
is it?
It was four parts in overseas, condensed into two parts in the
Ah,
US, and the second volume came out last year.
okay. Well,
Um, I haven't
I
finished reading it yet,
I
but
I I told Tad that we shouldn't read that because I was like, oh, it's four parts and there's only two out, and I don't want to
right,
just finish in the middle. Um, so
right.
yeah, I'll be buying that at some point. Because I
Or
do
at the very least at the Dark Horse site, it says concludes in
uh
Blacksad They Fall Down Part Two.
but I mean I love the world. Uh I love the world so much that I bought the middling video game that we came out with.
Oh, I got that as part of a Humble Bundle. I've played that.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
mean, it's sort of like it's one of those like telltale games sort of things
Yep.
where it's like,
Yep.
make a choice, make a choice.
Right.
But
Right.
it was I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I think I
I'm not enough of a gamer that like I have a great ability to judge it. And my biggest problem with Telltale games is they mix just enough of the Twitch gaming in to go with the choice gaming that like I'm really bad at Twitch gaming. When I have to do something where I have to press the correct buttons in the correct order at a certain speed.
Tad, I'm
I'm
sorry
stuck
that
at that
you
spot.
I'm sorry that your manual dexterity is not great.
No, it's not. It's not.
But
A lot of skills. That's not one of them.
but
Atari, that's the right number of buttons.
uh but it was one of those things where I just love this book. I actually got this book, the first collected edition, um, uh, which is the first, what is it?
Five, I think.
Five. And then I love the section at the back where it says short stories, and there's
Right.
one.
I thought there was more than one, at least in the digital.
Maybe I have the hard copy. So, but yeah, it's short stories, and then there's one 4-page story, and then it goes to the sketchbook.
I mean,
So
there's
it made me laugh.
well, no, because there's the like cats and dogs is a two-page story, and Spit at the Sky is a two-page story. There are two-page stories, not one four-page story.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I see it now. Like cats and dogs.
Get
All
it
right.
straight, Mark.
I'm
It is
terrible.
short stories. They're
I
just
am
even shorter than you thought.
I am unobservant and sad. So but I
And they're
can I
kind
can
of
play
different
Twitch games.
stories. Yeah, okay.
Now but yeah, no, this collection, I it was like one of those things where I read it and then I think it was that Christmas I bought it for everybody I knew
Yeah,
who had any
I can
interest.
see that.
It's just it's lovely.
I
Uh,
like I mean, I love that so much of it is, I mean, they're from Spain and it's set in the
mhm.
United States and they clearly do their homework. I mean, I'm looking at, right near the end, and we're both Chicago area guys. You're an actual Chicagoan. I'm just tangentially Chicagoan. I call myself a Chicagoan to everybody but you, because like you could call my bluff and go, ah. You lived in the city for 8 months and
I will never call anybody's bluff on anything. So there you go.
okay. But anyway, like at the very end, when they're at Union Station, and
Yeah,
admittedly, one of them could also come straight out of the Untouchables.
right.
Um, but like all of this stuff is like they clearly do their they're
Absolutely.
very serious about having the right architecture. When they're in New York, they're in New York. When they're,
Sure.
no Amarillo and uh I don't know Amarillo and New Orleans as well, but I would be willing to bet that they don't get them wrong.
Well, I mean, look, we
I
live in a.
do know Raton, ironically, New Mexico,
Hmm.
because it's where if you take the train to go to Philmont Scout Ranch, it's the stop that you get off and they pick you up to take you. And I feel like I've seen that house.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I mean, look, not only, I've been to New Orleans. Much of it is the same, but it's also like this is also the New Orleans of the 50s.
right,
So, and clearly, like the Chicago is the Chicago of the 50s. That
right,
Greyhound station doesn't exist
right,
anymore.
right,
But I
right.
mean, they're like they clearly do their homework. There's no doubt about that. Um, I'm it has to just like the way that the characters are drawn, like the amount of research that must have go into that just to get
Yeah.
the animal elements right, because um, you know, they're amazing. I I I mean, there's the like the Sebastian character in the New Orleans story, which what was the title?
Hmm.
Um, is Silent Hell. Um,
Right.
I mean, it's like one of those one of somebody is going to own one of these dogs and get really angry. One of those really ugly dogs that can't get keep their tongue in their mouth, and it's just like
Right.
it's amazing. It's truly amazing. I don't. I mean, and this God, this whole section here where they're in New Orleans and they're having the meal like in the courtyard, and there's all
Yeah.
the shadows from it's just like, if nothing else, if you were sitting out there and you're like, gosh, I don't know, I don't really like detective. Well, if you don't like detective fiction, I don't know why you're listening to us talk about this stuff.
Right.
But
Right.
but even if you don't like it, like the artwork is so, I mean,
Well, and like,
European, of course the artwork's amazing. I mean, what do you
but I mean, as I flipped through it, like the dialogue is good and I'm not telling people not to read it, but you can get so much of the story without it.
Well, yeah, I think that that's also a tribute to the whole
Right.
Disney-esque animation kind of feel to it, because
Right.
it's like I said, all the facial expressions are huge. And part of that is probably also because they use these anthropomorphized characters, which allows you to do a more extreme sort of
Right.
facial expressions, because if you drew a human being, like a pure human being doing some of these facial expressions, it probably would look silly. Uh, although
I mean,
somehow Kevin McGuire pulls it off. I don't know,
that's true.
but uh,
This is kind of tangential. But I love European panels.
mhm.
Um, they have a much, even though like almost all of the panels here are straight box panels.
Right.
We're not doing weird shapes. We're doing some insets. Um, mostly if we break a panel, it's with a text box, not with a character,
Hmm.
and some splash pages. But in spite of that, they to me often have much more creative and flowing layouts because they're not tied to a grid in any sense of the word. If they decide that the top row can be smaller and we need a bigger middle row, and, okay, this row's going to have 6 panels and this row's going to have two and this one's going to have five. Um, you know, it, it's all rectangular panels, but like there seem to be almost no rules beyond that. Um, Other than I think most of the time when at least in this, when he does an inset, it's for a close up.
Hmm.
It's like zooming in on the combination lock,
Right.
or you know,
Yeah,
and the coloring's just masterful.
yeah,
Both the black and white flashbacks are sometimes blue tinge flat,
right,
depending on who. Flashbacks tend to be white and one color variant.
right.
Um, and there's a much lusher palette of colors for the rest of the book, but still kind of muted, I
Hmm.
think is the word I'd use. Um, with some exceptions.
I mean,
But that makes those exceptions stand out even more.
I'm guessing that uh, Guarnido does everything because it just
I
says
think he
art.
does.
So
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just flipping through this and I got the very end of Steranko's intro. World-renowned Renaissance man, Jim Steranko.
I feel like Jim wrote that too.
Well, of course. I mean, little aside, everybody writes your own bios. Like
Yeah.
everybody does. So particularly notable are Guardino's. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, and I apologize if you're listening. Guarnido, I don't know. Muted color passages giving the impression of the 40s and 50s crime thrillers that have come to define the noir experience. His use of light and shadow is no less memorable. That actually, that just popped into my head. One thing that I've always wanted to read, and I've never been able to find it, is Steranko did an adaptation of that movie Outland in heavy metal. And people have always talked to me about it, about how it's brilliant. And I've never been able to find the issues or a collected edition that wasn't ungodly expensive. So, but anyway, that's a Steranko comment. Who cares? Anyway, I, I mean, in a way, I kind of feel the same way. Like, I feel the same way when we were talking about the Rocketeer, where it's like, I just think it's brilliant. I think people should read it. I think it's gorgeous. I think that it's fun. I think that it's incredibly accessible, and I think that it's uh
And both a quick read and a long
mhm.
reread. So like if you're intimidated by the thickness and you're like, you can get through it fast, but it's infinitely rereadable
Right. Well,
because it's so lush.
and also it's basically five stories collected, so there's
Right,
plenty of places where you can stop and uh give yourself a break.
right. But
That's just so it's so yeah. I mean the art is just incredibly amazing. That's just all I can say about it. I mean, like
I mean,
it's
honestly, and
so cartoony and so human all
I
at
love
once.
Disney's Robin Hood, but you almost don't do justice to the art.
Hmm. Well, I mean, I think that
I mean, it's kind of that style, but it's got a greater level of detail and humanization than I
well,
think.
that's a simplistic thing. When you like an animated, this is always whenever like DC puts out a direct to video adaptation of one of their great stories, and they're like, oh, we're using the original artwork as a guide, and it's like, yeah, but it's never going to look that way because
Right.
you can't you like I would my argument would be that if we took this book and turned it into an animated film or turned one of the stories into an animated film, it would not be as detailed um or gorgeous, right? Because it's got to move, right? It's the same way. I think that if you actually took that Disney Robin Hood and turned it into a graphic novel, it would probably look a lot better, even with the same artists working on the art, you know?
That's
I think
possible. I think this is where I'm going to say the coloring comes in, though, because
so,
I think that Disney Robin Hood had
was they're very flat colors, but that's all
right.
that was possible at the time. And
Yeah.
now you know, now
The I mean, something that comes up a lot in our heavy metal book club is that Europeans were doing more even with four color colors than most American comic companies did just because they were willing to put the time in.
well, sure, but that's also because you know, uh if we believe Harlan Ellison, comic books are an American art form, but the Europeans grabbed hold of it and decided it really was an art form. I mean,
Right,
look, you know, you can't you can't look at a Mobius
right.
comic strip, graphic novel, whatever you want to call it, and you can't see that there is a lot. And that's also because, at that point, aside from maybe Will Eisner, nobody was spending the time, right?
No, no.
You had to crank these things out. You had to do it every
Well,
month.
I
And
mean,
and
I
and
almost
in the 60s, 70s into the 80s, you couldn't do what we see now where somebody's like, "Oh, you know what? I'm 6 months behind on this book and it'll come out when I'm done." And that's not
I mean, I almost wonder how much of that is actually not just the culture of the comics, but the culture of the places. You know,
sure.
Europe, if you don't have 6 weeks vacation, like you've got a terrible job. In the United States, if you have 2 weeks vacation and you use it all, you're a slacker.
Well, I
You
mean,
know, um,
yes and no, but I mean, it's like I think it's just that I mean, certainly like when you look at heavy metal, like there is a they're asking those artists to do a lot. Most of them are not doing as many pages, right?
right.
6 to 8 pages, I think, if I remember right. I haven't read heavy metal
Depends
in
on the
quite
story.
yeah, I haven't read
Depends on the
heavy metal
story.
in a long, long time. But
Right.
um,
And most of heavy metal is reprints from Europe, so I don't
yeah,
know
there you
how
go.
they got split up in metal
Well, I
or
mean,
want.
I guess we would talk about Metal Hurlant,
Right.
the
Right.
original. But I mean, it was just I think that clearly with what happened in the 50s with the juvenile delinquency scare and the uh I mean, for as popular and as important as like the EC books were in terms of moving the genre, moving new genres in and slightly more adult skewing things, uh, it I think that the damage that was done in that period resonated out for a long, long time to the point where, and they didn't really like that wasn't something that happened in Europe.
No.
And so, there was a ghettoization of the art form.
Well, and also superheroes were late to Europe
Sure.
because superheroes were a response to fascism in the United States. At the same time, where to do that in Europe meant printing something that was going to get you killed because you were already Nazi occupied.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know,
and then you got Judge Dredd, who
right.
is a fascist, but he's our fascist. Yeah.
Well, kind of. I haven't finished reading the book on him. He's like a mix
I
between our fascist and satire on
uh it's 100% satire, but it
right.
is there's a documentary, it's like the first 20 or 30 years of 2000 AD, and they talk about all the main characters, and there's a
Right.
whole section on Dredd, and they were talking about um you can't the story doesn't function unless you just allow yourself to be like, of course, they're the judges, you know. And let's also, like, uh, I think Judge Dredd is like it's one of my favorite books because
Right.
it's so complicated and it's so funny and it's also so, I mean, it's badass. I mean, but I mean, it's like the you're just as likely there is actually I don't I'm not going to call Dredd fascist, totalitarian,
Yeah.
authoritarian, um, because you just as likely to get a story where someone attempts to there's the Judge Cal story where he tries to take over everything, install himself as the king of Mega City One, and Dredd is like, that's not the law. And
Have
then
you
that's it's like the what was the song Anthrax, the book of the law is the Bible to him, and it's like that means it applies to everyone, no matter who you are, and
have you
anyway.
read I Am the Law, How Judge Dredd Predicted Our Future from Michael Molker? Came out a couple
uh
years ago.
I have not.
I've started it and haven't finished it, in part because I haven't read enough Judge Dredd either. So like I kind of have been, as I have time, going back and forth between reading it and then going reading the stuff that it's talking about, and um
I like every time
it
at
was
a
very well reviewed and won an Eisner in 24. Um
yeah, every time I'm at like a convention where 2000 AD has a booth or something, I always end up buying another collected edition of Dread. I think it's like it's so funny. Uh, there's one story that I will never forget because it always made me laugh. Was there was a story they did that was sort of a parody of uh, Tennessee Williams, and he was a writer who would he was sort of like a method acted writer. Like he would have to do like he was writing a crime story, he would actually have to commit the crimes. And it was just like it was so funny. And he was this little like it starts out with the story that he wrote where this like super dashing like gentleman thief is like robbing buildings and stuff like that. And then at the end, when Dredd catches him, it's like this little balding fat guy, like hanging off the side of a building with all of this equipment trying to break into this thing. It's just like it's so funny. This stuff makes me laugh. And it also I also like the Judge Death stuff is amazing. Like uh I anyway, like again, we're floundering off topic, but
No, I'm happy
I
because I need to read more Judge Dredd, so
yeah.
it might even be something we look at some point for
Oh
this.
yeah.
I'll have you pick a story arc or something.
It would
Um,
totally work in this. Yeah, it's um
because we had a 2000 AD book club for a while until John Dunning got busy because like people want him to write stuff.
right.
God, why can't my podcast be the priority, man?
Hey, if somebody asked
um,
me to write stuff,
I
I'm
know
gone.
I get it.
Somebody
Um,
asked me to write stuff, please.
but he pretty much, I mean, we focus pretty exclusively away from Dread in terms of our 2000 AD
I
because
mean, I think that if you're going to talk
it's
about
not that he dislikes 2000 or dislikes Dread, but he thinks it's like the most overrated part of 2000 AD.
well, in a way it is,
Right.
but it's also like for me, um, it was so unlike stuff that we were getting in America.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it was I was finding, we started this book club with Ms. Tree, and I sort of discovered Dread and Ms. Tree about the same time, and
Right.
it was breaking away from something, and and
Have you
uh,
ever read Pat Mill's Martial Law?
you bet I have. Really, that book is fucking weird.
It
I like
is.
I just and it's that book is almost too nihilistic for me.
Yeah.
It's just like I like uh, uh, I d- I guess there's a point in life when I'm like I get a little turned off when something is about how much you hate something, because I think that book is all about how much Pat Mills hates superheroes,
Yeah,
right?
that's fair.
I mean, and I think that
But
it's
Kevin Neal O'Neill's art is so pretty.
it's it's Kevin O'Neill's art is pretty in an extremely ugly way, which is one
Well,
of my
yes.
favorite things in the world. Uh,
Yes.
for anybody like first time I went to San Antonio, Texas, I thought it was the most beautifully ugly city I'd ever seen in my life. And God bless you if you live in San Antonio, because I love the city, but it was like huge steel and glass buildings right next to these like Gothic, um, you know, stonework, gargoyles and stuff. It was like, man, this is like what Gotham City would look like. But uh no, it's the reason like I've read martial law. I've read a lot of martial law. I know it's not in existence anymore, but I think
Though the deluxe edition is available,
mhm.
468 pages, so it might be all of it.
Yeah, that's probably all of it.
Yeah.
I read quite a bit of that, and then but like when The Boys came out, I was like, I read martial law. I liked martial law, and here comes heresy. I thought that The Boys became the thing it was supposedly parodying.
A little bit.
That's my opinion.
Are we talking the TV show or the comic?
The comic. I've
Okay,
never
because
watched the TV show.
I haven't I've watched some of the TV show,
I
but
watched one episode of the TV show and I said, yeah, that's exactly why I read like one story arc and I was like, okay, I think
I
that's enough for
I
me.
I read all of it, but mostly because I fell in love with Huey and I can't remember the girl's name right now. Um, the one from the beginning that's the farm girl superstar that
Oh yeah,
the
the one that
superhero.
turns, yeah, that the
Right,
new
right, right.
who becomes their
I
like,
right. I
yeah.
fell in love with their relationship and I
Hmm.
was rooting for them. Um, but I went back. I mean, a more disgusting set of superheroes has never been written except maybe in martial law.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And B, I eventually got pretty tired of Butcher and his crew other than Huey. But I thought that was part of the point. I think part of the point was Huey was supposed to be the only likable one. And it
yeah,
was like,
I
how
mean,
does he
and
find his way?
it's certainly, I like, and part of the problem, like when you adapt things, like Butcher, Butcher's one of those characters that like people are going to gravitate towards, right?
Right.
It's just like he's the guy who can say what he wants to say and he does what he wants to do and he's angry and he's blah blah blah. It's the Wolverine factor, right?
Yeah,
Um,
or Negan in Walking Dead.
right. Yeah, well, and like, and the thing about it is like Negan is like what, like I'm always fascinated by that. It's like, okay, yeah, this guy's a lunatic, and
Hmm.
and people just love it, and I think there's a transgressive thing that people enjoy, but it's also like, um, I don't know. There's a video that went around. Vince Gilligan was talking at the Writers Guild Awards or the conference, and he was talking about how that maybe we need to start writing good guys again. And here's
Maybe
the here's the
I could
here's
go for that.
here's the guy who created Walter White, and I'm like, I I think that that is a good idea, but I also think that everybody looks for this binary answer to every question. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, people really love Darth Vader, right? And that was one of the examples he used. Uh, People do because there's something compelling about that visual, and there's something uh like once you know the backstory, there's something tragic about it. And um, but anybody can find transcendence in any kind of character.
Right.
I do think people like most of the time I am not interested in reading another Wolverine story, but particularly Chris Claremont could find ways to find transcendence. I think
Right.
about that first miniseries, the
Hmm.
Japan one. I think that
Hmm.
there was something there about this loner guy who wanted connection, just wanted it, and didn't know how to ask for it, didn't know how to let go of his own ego to do it. Um,
So here's my
Anyway, yeah,
here's my question off of Vince Gilligan, and I'm trying to think of. I feel like I should know some, and I mean, I guess the best Batman is written this way, but I think we see a lot of great bad guys that are humanized and given some level of justification. So you don't think that they're completely bad. You think that, they're victims of circumstance and whatnot. What we don't see enough of, I think, are imperfect good guys. People who are basically good, but then having to deal with the fact that they're also human, that sometimes they make wrong calls. Sometimes they then have to figure out how to deal with that. And like, I mean, I didn't watch much of it, but like, I'm not talking the 24 where Jack Bauer's the good guy, and therefore it's okay that he tortures people. It like it should be if he decides it's okay to torture people, it should haunt him.
well, you know,
You know what I mean?
yeah, no,
Um,
I was actually a pretty big fan of 24 when it was on, just because I enjoyed the conceit of it. It was ridiculous at times, but I thought that the tension of knowing that there's this ticking clock
mhm.
made you go, okay, got to do this now, you know. There's a nuclear bomb going to go off in Los Angeles, right? Got to do it now. Got to do it now.
Right.
And it's not realism. It's not
Right.
real. I mean, like I think that um as somebody who writes, um I think that far too often people start assigning realism to things that aren't intended to be real,
Right.
that it's just supposed to look, uh the whole conceit of this podcast, the pulp thing, the genre of fiction, all of that is designed around things like characters do things that are horrible because they feel they have to.
Right.
Our very first, like I bring it back to Ms. Tree a lot, but I just love that character. She does terrible things all the time. And yet there's
Yeah,
the
that's a good example.
and it
It's true.
and has an
Mike Tree.
Michael Tree.
Right.
Um but you know, and the thing is that it is, I think that this goes into this strange thing that I think is happening in fandom, right? Is that I think that people are assigning more and more importance to stuff that shouldn't. Man, I feel like I make this speech almost every episode, but more and more importance to these things that are not intended to be
Important.
important, right?
Right.
Like that you should be able to read. Look, you should be able to read a Ms. Tree revenge tale and be
Right.
like, that was cool. I understood why she did that. I understood and I also know that that is not the real world. That is not like Max Allen Collins is not saying this is how you should deal with these situations.
Though honestly, I think that at least from my perspective, and this is where like the fact that I'm a teacher, even when I'm not teaching, comes in. I love to be able to go, that was cool, but let's also look at it in a sociological
Sure.
perspective.
Well, I
What
mean, and
I
that
mean, I
doesn't.
think specifically of the issue where she was in the Quickie Mart,
Yeah,
and I was actually really, really happy that they didn't make them black criminals
yeah, yeah.
because that
No,
would have
I
been the easy trope,
sure.
you
The
know.
but and like I'm not saying that this stuff isn't worth talking about on a uh
On
critical,
a podcast or in a
or
classroom
yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, no, like all of that, but it's that people seem to want, yeah. And again, it kind of comes back to what Vince Gilligan said and how it felt binary to me, that like
Yeah,
this person is either, we're either going to write these really noble people who do the right thing, and or they're the bad guys who we should, and it's like, look, I thought The Sopranos was one of the greatest things I ever watched in my life. I know that Tony, every time Tony Soprano had
the
an opportunity to do something good and didn't, it hurt me deeply, because I
right.
was like, I want it. It's the same. Mad Men,
I,
same
I
way.
I am looking at the write up at Hollywood Reporter of what you're talking about, and I do like this one line from him, and I haven't seen the whole video, so I don't. But the one line that's in the subtitle here is that looking back on at Walter White, I think I'd rather be celebrated for creating someone a bit more inspiring. So that to me is more of an introspective than
Sure.
the whole industry needs to. It's like
Yeah.
I've done this great thing, and it's not even saying that I am upset that I'm being celebrated. It's that like my challenge to myself is to now
Sure.
be celebrated for something that inspires people rather
Well,
than
but
I
that's
hope I'm not inspiring people to become meth
meth. Look,
chemists.
the one thing that I'll say is, when you create a character as indelible as Walter White, it's easy to be like, well, I'd like to do something different now,
Right.
right? You know,
Right.
and it's like but it's because I think there's value in all of those things as long as you don't get lost in because I do think, and I see it a lot, is people get lost in these fantasies, and not even in like I can't function in life kind of way, but I mean like like just like man, put that down and read something else, like try War and Peace or try something, you know, like it uh obviously I love graphic storytelling, I love comic books, I love graphic novels, but it's also like I think it pains me that there are novels out there that I read that are beautiful, wonderful works of art that people now just don't want to deal with because it's all words, you know?
I'll
And
listen to them. Give me a list. I'll put them on my
yeah,
car listening.
sure.
I
I mean
managed
like
to sit down and read a book at least a couple of times a year. I
yeah, I
just,
mean yeah, and
but
believe
I'm
me, I
always listening to books.
believe me, I get it, but it's like I like everybody's got their thing, but it's like it's just sort of like I'm trying not to sound like old man yelling at the moon.
I'm
Uh
actually I'm flipping through the article that has more of his quotes, and the thing that popped out at my head though, that isn't mentioned by either him or the article is he was being presented the Patty Chayefsky Laurel Award. Patty Chayefsky, of course, being probably
yeah,
most famous for "I'm mad as hell, I'm not going to
sure.
take it anymore," which is actually a perfect example of a general good guy, but not a perfect one. A very flawed good guy.
Oh
He gets
yeah.
gets caught up in his own,
Yeah.
network is
No, no, no. I mean like
brilliant,
look,
not just for sticking it to the man, but then for like becoming the man and not
yeah.
realizing it.
Well, um I all it's yeah, I just think it's reductive. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh
like
yeah.
making it this one thing or this other thing is, and I know he's talking. It's real easy for somebody who created something as indelible and as difficult as Walter White and saying maybe I should try something else because you know what? Every time you finish something that works, you're like, okay, now maybe I should try something else. If you
But
are,
it's also like an acceptance speech.
yeah,
So it's going to be reductive. I
sure.
wonder. I wonder how much different it would be if we had him in front of us for half an hour to have a conversation.
I'm 100% sure that we could have a very deep and very interesting conversation with
You
him
could
about
too. You
what,
wouldn't need me. You don't
yeah,
have to
but
include me.
I don't have a podcast and I don't have enough time.
All you need to have a podcast is Zoom and a
And
Buzzsprout account.
somebody who wants to talk to me.
Right.
Other than you, Tad. But
Well, Sean joins us sometimes too, so
sure.
that's two people that want to talk to
Sure.
you.
And we're gonna talk about some Kirby in another 2 weeks.
2 weeks,
But
yeah.
2 weeks. Um but no, it, I, I don't know. I don't even know how we
Well,
got to this point in this conversation,
well,
but
we were talking about reductive nature of stuff, and it's making me think. Have you ever read Neil Postman's "Amusing Ourselves to Death"?
yes.
Um,
Yeah.
One of the things that I was thinking of recently, I was actually even talking to a student about it, is like Postman talks about reminds us how the Lincoln Douglas debates weren't debates the way we think of them. They
Hmm.
weren't like 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 1 minute. They were like Lincoln spoke for an hour, Douglas spoke for an hour.
Yeah.
Lincoln responded for an hour, Douglas responded for an hour. They went back and forth asking each other 5 minute questions, and people stood and watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
Um, because
Well,
in that era, that was what they had been trained to.
yes.
The one thing, and unlike Postman, I don't think it's Postman tends to think that the shortening of our attention span is exclusively bad. I don't know if I go that far. But now that we're in the TikTok age, almost everything is going to start from a very reduced form.
Well, I mean, and the thing is that you don't there's a depth to it that
Right.
that you're not a TikTok video about anything political, right? Let's just I'm
Yeah.
gonna use the dreaded P word because I don't like to talk about it, but
It's not dreaded to me,
I
but
know,
I
but
understand it's dreaded to
yeah.
you.
Uh but like
About
the
anything
idea,
intellectual.
yeah, it's gonna be this like I think this. Uh,
Mhm.
and it's like, okay, yeah, but what about this? What about this? What about this? But we are being trained to not say what about this and what about this and what about
Right.
this. It's like, oh, I like that. Share, share, and suddenly you're sharing and sharing and
Right.
sharing, and it's just it's multiplying and it's progressing, and it's not it's by its very nature cannot be a full picture.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it's going to be something that reinforces what you already thought, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and you
it's
just
funny. I was just thinking about this morning because I'm
yeah.
actually working on a new play that through a very pop culture kind of lens, I'm trying to deal with this very subject. Um, and it 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 strikes me as so interesting how for every level it works this way. Like if you go on to YouTube and you watch like comic book collecting shows, it's the same thing. I'm going to tell you what you already think and tell you that you're right. And then I'll tell you that this other person is an idiot or an asshole because they think otherwise, or that this company is going to go out of business, the whole go woke, go broke thing, or whatever it is.
Right.
Like it's all so
Go
it's
woke, go broke, say the people who can't even define what woke is.
well,
And
and then what, but it's like the whole thing with that kid who plays Spider-Man on that Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man show, saying
I
that
miss this.
he did an interview right before the story, which is a really good cartoon. I loved every single minute of
So
it.
friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, worth watching.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I was
Okay.
really charmed by the show. Um, but when right before it came out, he did some interview and he's like, I was worried that it was going to be annoying and woke. And I think that having watched the show, uh, to my definition of woke, the show is pretty woke. It's got a really diverse cast. It's uh changes the race and sex of many characters that you know and love. Um, eh,
Acknowledges feelings
yeah, I mean, yeah,
and
it's,
being kind is a good thing.
but it's not preachy about it. And I think that that's what he was trying to say. And I
Yeah.
think that, I mean, it's just
Yeah.
and of course, there was a whole thing, and there was all these people on my socials who were like, "Well, I'm not going to watch that now," and I'm like, it's so I like if now I'm going way off the reservation, but it's so funny how people will be like the people that you should really, really want to like the people who misspeak or use a word in the wrong way and have no real agenda behind it or anything. Like he worked on the show, which is clearly got all of these values that you want. And he
Right.
said things the right way. And they're like, oh, this kid's done, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, meanwhile, people can say the most horrible things and you're never going to be able to do anything to them because they are
This
not
is where
tied into your world.
I'm going to make another plug. Have you John Ronson wrote a book. What was his book? I mean, he's written many books, but oh yes. So you've been publicly shamed. It is all about um, the essentially Twitter culture thing that came up of, oh, you did something wrong. Let's pile on
Yeah,
immediately because, and like two things that he discovered. The first is the people that it winds up hurting the most are the people who didn't have much standing to begin with. So
right.
suddenly that's the only thing they're known for.
Or they were,
And
or they were in general aligned with your viewpoint anyway.
often
Yeah.
that's the case as well.
So now
Um,
you've just taken somebody who was possibly an ally and you've
right.
ruined them. Yeah.
And second, the way not to be canceled is just deny, 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 deny. Doesn't matter how much evidence there is, as long as you say it didn't happen.
Well, and you know, like, and the thing about it is like, look, you can, you can, you can say whatever you want to say about whatever, but like the people who, in my opinion, really should be canceled in this world, you're never going to be able to touch them because
No.
they don't care what you think any more than you care what they think, right? So anyway, this is getting way
Yeah.
deeper than I wanted
Oh
to,
yeah.
but like,
This is what happens on 22 panels, man. We go deep whether we mean to or not. Cause A, I don't know how not to. And B, people that I like, even when they don't want to, tend to also not know how not to.
well,
But we can wrap it up because you
yeah,
have laundry to do. I have a role-playing game to play and record. It will be the next 22 panels episode. What I will say, it kind of is a closing thing, is one of my secret reasons that I push comics so hard for so many different things is I feel like, aside from the fact that as a medium, they force more interaction between the size of your brain, more interaction with the stuff than any other medium does. Um, I feel like they're kind of a secret way to attract the lower attention culture
sure.
because it doesn't feel like the same commitment. But then suddenly I mean, my favorite compliment I ever get at school, and I don't think it's ever meant as a compliment, is Mr. E, you make me think about things. And I think
Well,
comics have
Mr.
a
E, you
unique
make me
ability
think
to do
about
that.
things, and
And you're
I
ready to go do your laundry.
I have a laundry to do, and I have a show to close.
Show to
So,
do. So
oh,
break a leg.
pitch, PR.
Okay.
Uh, um, this is very early days. I was just made aware of this. I am actually going to have, for those of you who might be in the Chicago or Evanston area, I am going to be doing a signing of copies of the Four Color Trilogy at Bookends and Beginnings in Evanston on April 1st, which
Fantastic.
maybe it's a giant April Fool's joke. Who knows? But
Well, if it is, I'll meet you there and we'll go to dinner.
all right. But yes, apparently, it's very early days. This has just recently been brought to my attention. So hopefully,
We'll have time to plug it two more times
yep.
before then on the air. For Mark Pracht, this has been the Pulp Blotter on 22 panels, and we will see you after the next page.
Hey guys, this is Tyler from 22 Panels. I'm here to tell you all about our Patreon. If you enjoy this show, please consider donating to our Patreon to keep this show going. We have many different tiers, all different levels to help you decide what's right for you. Okay, so get on out there to patreon.com/22panelspodcast.